Well, well, well. Look what the devil dragged in. You modern folk with your heated homes and grocery stores. Before we start this little nightmare of mine, let me ask you something. If you're watching this on your glowing rectangles, hit that button if you think you could survive what I'm about to tell you. And subscribe if you want more tales from when the world literally went dark. But here's the real question I want you to comment on. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and the sun just disappeared for 18 months, while everyone around you starved, froze, and went completely insane? Think about it. Really think about it. Because I lived it. February 17th, 536 AD. The day I learned what hell looks like. And it's not fire and brimstone. It's ice, ash, and the sound of your neighbors eating their own children. My name is Meredith. I'm 34 years old, though I look about 60. I'm a widow, which in your time means single mom. In my time, it means walking corpse with no legal rights. Do you know what silence sounds like? After death? It's not peace. It's the sound of your name not being called. The absence of footsteps you once knew by heart. I was a wife and a mother. When the sky first changed, I thought it a passing shadow. It began softly, like a cloak the clouds pulled over the sun. At first, it felt like autumn had come early, and I welcomed it. We all did. The summer had scorched our backs and boiled our bread in the ovens. But then, the warmth didn't return. It was the year the sun forgot us. The skies turned black as if the Lord himself had turned his face away. They said it was the ash of distant mountains, a punishment perhaps, but no one truly knew. No crops grew, no birds sang. Even the wind stopped playing in the fields. We called it the season without sun. No light, no harvest, no laughter in the village square. And in the silence that followed, the earth began to swallow my life. Edric was never a man of many words. He was a carpenter, calloused hands, silent strength. He built our home, our beds, the stool I sit on now. He built futures from splinters. But grief rots even the strongest wood. After we buried Anwin, he stopped speaking. He'd sit outside, staring into the fog, like he was waiting for something to return. He took to drinking. Not much, just enough to forget how empty the house had become. He'd whisper their names in the dark. One morning, I found him sharpening his blade. He told me it was for protection. But there were no wolves left. They'd gone quiet like everything else. That night, I woke to silence. Too deep, too still. He was gone. I ran to the chapel, and there he was, beside their graves. The blade was red. His blood had soaked the soil, like he wanted to join them. He left no note, only a carving on Anwin's grave. Forgive me. My husband, Edric, he tried to be strong. He said we'd make it through. He held me in the cold and promised spring. But spring never came. The children grew thin first. Elric, with his muddy boots and gap-toothed grin, and Anwin, always singing nonsense to the hens. Their laughter faded into coughs, then into silence. I remember wrapping their small bodies in the linen I'd saved for their weddings. Their cheeks, already gray. Edric buried them behind the chapel. He didn't cry. Not until he thought I was asleep. Weeks later, he was gone too. Not by sickness, but by a blade. His own. I screamed until my throat bled, and the world stayed dark. People stopped coming to check on me. I think they thought me cursed. Maybe I am. They say grief has a smell. I wear it like a cloak. You know, the cruelest part is not their deaths. It's the quiet after. The way the walls don't echo anymore. The way bread doesn't taste of anything. The way you begin to forget the sound of their laughter and the shape of their hands in yours. But still I rise. Not for hope. Hope is a luxury I buried with my children. But because if I let this darkness take me, who will remember their names? Who will tell of Elric's little wooden sword? Or the time Anwen made me crown her queen of mud? I am their gravekeeper now, the living monument to what was. I light the candle each night, not to chase away the dark, but to say, they were here, they mattered, and I am still here, even in a world that's forgotten how to be warm. My Elric was only 8. He had fire in him, not anger, no, a boy's fire, restless and golden. He carved himself a wooden sword from ashwood and declared he'd defend the chickens from the foxes. He once told me, "When I'm grown, I'll build you a house that doesn't leak." But the leaks came first. He started coughing just after the first snow that wasn't snow. Ash. Black flakes on our thatched roof. He asked me why the sky was crying soot. I didn't have an answer. Elric got thinner. His cheeks, once round like harvest apples, sank in. He was still smiling, though, always trying to make Anwen laugh, even when his feet wouldn't carry him across the room. I held him the night he died. His lips were blue, and I wrapped him in every blanket we had. He whispered, "Tell the stars I miss them." He died in my arms, just before dawn. But there was no dawn, only more dark. We buried him under the withered oak near the chapel. Edric carved his name. I pressed my lips to the soil and begged the earth not to take him. But it did. Anwen was 5, but she thought herself a queen. She'd fashion crowns from bramble and lace scraps. She sang to herself constantly, little rhymes, often nonsense. Her voice could brighten soup, even on the gloomiest day. After Elric died, her song changed. She started singing to him, as if he were still in the room. Sometimes, I'd catch her holding a cup out to the air, saying, "Elric wants milk." I didn't stop her. I didn't have the heart. Then she stopped singing. That was worse. Her eyes lost their sparkle. She'd sit by the window for hours, watching the colorless sky. One day, I found her in the corner of the room, curled up like a cat. Her breath was shallow, her skin cold. She looked at me with such clarity and said, "Mama, is the world ending?" I told her no, but I lied. She passed quietly in her sleep, holding a ribbon she had once tied to Elric's toy horse. I buried her beside him. I wept harder for her than I did for myself, because children shouldn't fade like shadows. They're meant to bloom. I stopped speaking for weeks. Food turned to ash in my mouth. My hands forgot how to hold things. I lit a candle each night, the only thing left that obeyed the flame. The villagers stopped coming. One by one they abandoned the land. Some fled. Others perished. I remained. I couldn't leave. This house, once filled with laughter and burnt bread and lullabies, became a tomb. But somehow I did not die. I live now to remember. Elric, who dreamed of swords and stars. Anwen, who sang to shadows. Edric, who carved hope from pine. Sometimes I speak their names out loud, just to make sure the world hasn't swallowed them completely. I leave tokens for them by the hearth. A doll, a wooden coin, Edric's chisel. The sun still hasn't returned, but the candle I light each night burns stubbornly. Like them, like me, to the sky that forgot to shine. You may take the harvest. You may swallow the light. You may turn the earth cold. But you will not take my memories. You will not unmake their names. You will not erase my love. And today I'm gonna tell you about the day I begged for food and accidentally started a war. You know what your worst Monday morning feels like? Multiply that by the actual apocalypse. That's February 17th, 536 AD for me. I wake up in what used to be my home. Now it's more like a tomb made of rotting wood and frozen mud. The sky's been dark for months now. Ever since March, when Constantinople started experiencing those darkened skies and lower temperatures. But today feels different. Wrong. The air tastes like metal and death. There's this smell. Imagine wet concrete mixed with burnt hair and your worst nightmare. That's volcanic ash, folks. It's been falling like snow since the massive volcanic eruption that caused this cooling, and it's turning everything gray. The trees, the ground, my skin, my soul. I look outside my little window, well, the hole in the wall where glass used to be, and I see something that makes my blood freeze. My neighbor Aldrich is in his yard, kneeling next to what looks like a bundle of rags. It's not rags. It's his daughter, little Branwen. She's blue-gray, same color as the ash. 7 years old, dead of starvation. He's trying to wake her up, whispering, "Papa's got bread, sweetheart. Papa's got bread." He doesn't have bread. Nobody has bread. The crops failed 8 months ago. Let me paint you a picture of starvation, modern friends. You think you're hungry when you haven't eaten for 4 hours. You get hangry and complain about it on social media. I haven't had a full meal in 2 months. My stomach stopped growling. It just burns now, like someone's stirring acid in my belly with a rusty spoon. My teeth are loose. My hair comes out in clumps. And the smell? When you're starving, you smell like you're already dead. Your body starts eating itself. But here's the horror part, the real horror. It's not just the hunger. It's what hunger does to people. What it makes them do. I get dressed in my dead husband's clothes because they're warmer, and I step outside. The cold hits me like a punch to the chest. This decade is the coldest in 2,000 years, with summer temperatures ranging from 1.4 to 2.7 degrees Celsius below normal in Europe. But it's not just cold, it's wrong cold. End of the world cold. I start walking toward the village center, my feet crunching through ash and ice. That's when I see them, the other widows. We call ourselves the Walking Dead, because that's what we are, ghosts pretending to be alive. There's Godiva, whose husband died in the plague that started right after the dark skies came. She's got 3 kids and no food. She's been selling her body to the grain merchant for cups of oat paste. The kids don't know. They think Mama's just visiting Uncle Godwin a lot. There's Brunhild, whose husband froze to death in their bed. She's been burning furniture to stay warm, but she ran out of chairs last week. Now she's burning prayer books. The priest says she's going to hell. She laughs and says she's already there. And there's me, Meredith the widow, whose husband died by his blade 3 months ago. I think it was plague. Could have been starvation. Could have been plain old despair. Does it matter? We've developed a system, us widow ghosts. We divide up the village into territories and take turns begging. Today's my turn at the miller's house, the blacksmith's shop, and the monastery. The miller's house first. His name is Osric, and he's got grain hidden somewhere. I know because his kids aren't skeletons like the rest of us. They're thin, sure, but they're not dying. Not yet. I knock on his door. Well, I pound on it. With my fists. With my forehead. I'm screaming, please. In the name of Christ. In the name of mercy. He opens the door and I smell it. Bread. Actual bread. My mouth starts watering so hard I almost choke on my own spit. Meredith, he says, and his voice is tired. I told you yesterday. I told you the day before. I got nothing. Your children are fat. I say. It's not an accusation. It's just a fact. In a world where everyone's dying, having fat children is basically a confession. They're not fat. They're just not dead yet. I'll work for food, I say. I'll clean your house. I'll tend your animals. I'll do anything. He looks at me, really looks at me, and I see something in his eyes. Not pity, not cruelty, just calculation. Like he's weighing the value of my life against a loaf of bread. Can you read? He asks. A little. Can you write? Some. And you're discreet? I nod. In medieval times, discreet means, will you keep your mouth shut about illegal things? What illegal things could a miller be doing during the apocalypse? He pulls me inside. His house is warm. Warm. I almost cry just from feeling heat touch my skin. I need you to write a letter, he says. To the monastery. Tell them I've got grain to trade, but I want silver. Not prayers, not promises. Silver. That's profiteering, I whisper. During a famine, that's survival. He cuts me off. And if you write the letter, I'll give you bread. Real bread. Not bark paste or grass soup. Bread. I write the letter. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold the quill. But I write it. And he gives me bread. A whole loaf. I eat half of it standing right there in his kitchen, shoving it in my mouth like an animal. The monastery is my next stop. Normally, monasteries are supposed to help the poor. It's like their whole thing. But this isn't normal times. Brother Aldhelm greets me at the gate. He's thin too, but not death thin. Monk thin. There's a difference. Meredith, he says, and his voice is gentle. We've talked about this. The monastery stores are almost empty. We barely have enough for the brothers. I brought you a letter, I say, handing him Osric's message. He reads it and his face goes white. He wants silver for grain? During a famine? That's unconscionable. It's business, I say. And if you don't buy from him, who will? The dead. He stares at me for a long moment. Then he sighs. Come inside. We'll find you something. The monastery is huge and empty. Most of the brothers died in the plague, and the rest are too weak to work. The halls echo with our footsteps. Feels like walking through a tomb. He takes me to the kitchen, well, what used to be a kitchen. Now it's just a room with a cold hearth and empty shelves. But he goes to a hidden panel in the wall and pulls out a small pot. Porridge, he says, made from barley and other things. Don't ask what other things. I don't ask. I eat it. Tastes like dirt and despair. But it's food. Brother Aldhelm, I say between spoonfuls. What's happening to us? Why is the sun gone? Why are we all dying? He sits down across from me, and for the first time, I see real fear in his eyes. I don't know, he whispers. The scriptures speak of signs and wonders before the end times. Darkness at noon, famine, plague. But I thought God would warn us, give us a chance to repent. Maybe he did, I say. Maybe we just didn't listen. The blacksmith shop is my last stop, and it's where everything goes wrong. Wulfgar the blacksmith used to be the biggest, strongest man in the village. Now he's a scarecrow in leather apron. His forge is cold, has been for months. Can't work iron when you don't have the strength to lift a hammer. But when I knock on his door, he opens it immediately, like he was waiting for me. Meredith, he says, and his voice is strange, too eager. Come in, come in. I've been expecting you. His shop is dark and cold, but there's something else. A smell, sweet and rotten and wrong. I heard about your visit to the miller, he says, and the monastery. You're making the rounds today. Just trying to survive, I say. Same as everyone. Oh, but you're not the same as everyone, he says, and he's moving closer. You're special. You can read. You can write. You can carry messages. What kind of messages? He lights a candle, and in the flickering light, I see them. Bones. Human bones. Scattered around his workshop like tools. The kind that need to be delivered to the dead, he says. I back toward the door, but he's already there, blocking my way. You see, Meredith, I've discovered something wonderful. The dead are much better customers than the living. They don't complain about the price. Wulfgar, you're scaring me. Good, he says. Fear is honest. Fear is real. Not like this pretend world we've been living in, where we pretend the sun is coming back, where we pretend we're not all going to die. He picks up what looks like a hammer, but it's covered in dark stains. I've been thinking about your husband, Meredith, about how he died, wasting away. But what if he didn't have to die? What if none of us have to die? Everyone dies, Wulfgar. Not everyone, he says, and his smile is horrible. Some of us just change, adapt, evolve. That's when I see it. In the corner of the shop, partially hidden under a tarp. A human body, or what used to be a human body, has been altered. Pieces removed, pieces added, and it's moving. My first customer, Wulfgar says proudly. Young Godwin. He was dying anyway, plague, you know. But now he's better, stronger. He doesn't need food anymore. Doesn't need warmth. Doesn't need anything but purpose. The thing under the tarp sits up. It used to be Godwin, the grain merchant's son. Now it's something else. Its eyes are black holes. Its mouth is full of metal teeth that Wulfgar hammered into its skull. Run, it says in a voice like grinding stone. Run, widow. Run before the smith makes you useful. I run. By the time I make it back to the village center, word has spread. About the miller's profiteering. About the monastery's hidden stores. About the blacksmith's projects. The surviving villagers are gathering in the square. Maybe 30 people out of what used to be 300. They're carrying torches and crude weapons. They look like the Walking Dead, but they're angry Walking Dead. We're dying while they hoard food, shouts Godiva. My children are eating leather while the monastery has barley. The miller wants silver for grain, yells Brunhild. Silver, while we freeze and starve. And then someone, I think it's Aldrich, still carrying his dead daughter, shouts the words that change everything. The widow knows. She's been to all of them. She knows where the food is hidden. Suddenly all eyes are on me. Hungry eyes, desperate eyes, dead eyes. Tell us, Meredith, Godiva says, stepping closer. Tell us where they're hiding the food. I look around at these people. My neighbors, my friends, my community. They're not human anymore. Hunger has hollowed them out, turned them into something else. Something that would tear me apart for a handful of grain. I don't know anything, I lie. You're lying, Brunhild says. You've been to the miller. You've been to the monastery. You know, I've been begging, I say. Same as all of you. I don't know anything. Then why did you eat today? Aldrich asks. Why do you smell like bread? Because I do. I smell like bread. And in a world where bread is more valuable than gold, smelling like bread is basically a death sentence. I found scraps. I stammer. Behind the bakery. Just crumbs. Liar, someone shouts. She's working with them. She's one of them. She's hoarding food while our children die. She's the reason the sun won't come back. And that's when I realize something that chills me more than the volcanic winter, more than the starvation, more than the plague. They're right. I am working with them. I wrote the letter for the miller. I took food from the monastery. I know where the grain is hidden while these people, my people, are dying. I've become one of the monsters. They charge at me like a pack of wolves. Skeletal, desperate wolves with nothing left to lose. I run. I run through the village streets, slipping on ice and ash. I run past the dead animals, the abandoned houses, the frozen corpses that nobody has the strength to bury. I run past the church where the priest hanged himself last week because he couldn't bear to give last rites to any more starving children. Behind me I can hear them, my neighbors, my friends, shouting for my blood. There she is. Don't let her escape. She knows where the food is. I duck into an alley, press myself against a wall, and try to catch my breath. My chest is on fire. My legs are shaking. But I'm alive. For now. That's when I hear the voice, low and raspy, coming from the shadows. Running away, widow? I turn and there he is, Wulfgar the blacksmith, holding his blood-stained hammer. I thought you might come this way, he says, running from the mob. They want to kill you, you know, tear you apart and search your stomach for breadcrumbs. What do you want? I whisper. To make you an offer, he says. You can keep running, keep hiding, keep pretending you're still human. Or, he gestures to the darkness behind him. I can see shapes moving there. Human shapes, but wrong. Modified. Improved. Or you can join us. Become something better. Something that doesn't need food, doesn't need warmth, doesn't need hope. Something that just is. You're insane, I say. I'm practical, he replies. This world is ending, Meredith. The sun isn't coming back. The crops aren't growing. The plague isn't stopping. We're all going to die. All of us. But some of us can choose how we die. What we become. Behind him, one of his customers steps into the light. It used to be young Alfric, the baker's apprentice. Now it's something else. The skin is gray-white, like ash. Its eyes are black holes. Its mouth is full of metal teeth. It doesn't hurt, it says in a voice like grinding stone. After the first few minutes, it doesn't hurt at all. Think about it, Wolfgar says. You could be free. Free from hunger. Free from cold. Free from fear. Free from being human in a world where being human means suffering. The mob is getting closer. I can hear their voices, their footsteps, their rage. Decide quickly, Wolfgar says. They'll be here soon, and they won't be as gentle as I am. I look at him. I look at his creations. I look at the darkness that's swallowing the world. And I make my choice. I run. Not toward the blacksmith's offer of inhuman salvation. Not toward the mob's promise of violent death. I run toward the only place left in this dying world where I might find something resembling hope. The old Roman ruins on the hill, where the ancient stones still stand, where the old gods might still be listening, where the darkness might not be quite so complete. I run toward the past, because the present is hell and the future is death. And as I run, I whisper a prayer. Not to the Christian God who seems to have abandoned us. Not to the old gods who might not exist. But to whatever force in the universe might still give a damn about one starving widow in a world gone mad. If you can hear me, I whisper. If anyone can hear me, please, let me live through this night. Let me find a way to survive. Let me be human for just a little longer. The darkness doesn't answer, but I keep running anyway, because what else is there to do? The Roman ruins sit on the hill like broken teeth in a skull. These stones are older than the plague, older than the famine, older than the darkness. They've seen civilizations rise and fall. They've seen the world end before. Maybe they know how to survive it. I collapse against a fallen column, my lungs burning, my heart hammering against my ribs. The mob's voices are fading behind me, but I know they'll find me eventually. In a village this small, there's nowhere to hide for long. But here, among these ancient stones, I feel different. Not safe, nothing is safe anymore, but connected to something bigger than the horror we're living through. You know what your therapy sessions are like? Sitting in a comfortable chair, talking about your feelings, working through your trauma with a professional who actually gives a damn? This is medieval therapy. Sitting on a frozen rock, talking to the ghosts of dead Romans, and hoping the old gods aren't as petty as the new one. I press my hand against the cold stone and whisper, "Were you afraid when your world ended? Did you see it coming? Did you think you could stop it?" The stone doesn't answer, but in the silence, I hear something else. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming up the hill. My heart stops. It's not the mob. The mob would be shouting, angry, chaotic. This is just one person moving with purpose, moving like a predator. I peer around the column and see him, Wolfgar the blacksmith, carrying his hammer and a leather sack that clanks with metal tools. He's followed me. "You can't hide from me, Meredith," he calls out. "I know these ruins better than anyone. I've been coming here for months, collecting materials. Materials. I don't want to know what kind of materials. Meredith, please. I know you're scared. I know you're angry, but we need each other. We can't survive this alone." I pull my hand back from the mask. No, I whisper. What? Wolfgar's voice is sharp now. Dangerous. No, I say louder. I won't put it on. I won't let you change me. I won't stop being human. His face twists with rage. You fool. You think humanity is worth saving? Look around you. Look at what humanity has accomplished. Starvation, plague, death, and love, I say, and friendship, and hope, and the ability to choose something better. There is nothing better, he screams. There is only survival. Then I choose to survive as a human, I say, or die as one. He raises his hammer. Then you choose to die. Wolfgar swings his hammer at my head. I dodge, barely, feeling the wind from the blow ruffle my hair. In the moonlight, his face is inhuman, twisted with rage and something else. Something hungry. You could have been perfect, he snarls, swinging again. You could have been eternal. I grab a loose stone from the ruins, throw it at his face. It hits him in the nose, and he stumbles back, blood streaming. I don't want to be perfect, I gasp. I want to be me. Meredith? Godiva's voice is closer now. Meredith, what's happening? Run, I scream. Get away from here. He's insane. But instead of running, I hear footsteps. Multiple footsteps. Coming up the hill. She's not alone, Wolfgar says, wiping blood from his nose. How wonderful. More raw materials. That's when they appear. Godiva, Brunhild, and 3 other widows. They're carrying torches and crude weapons, but they're not here to hurt me. They're here to help. We followed you, Godiva says. After you ran, we realized what we almost did. How we almost became monsters. You are monsters, Wolfgar says. All of you. Weak, pathetic, dying monsters. But I can fix that. I can make you better. Better. Brunhild laughs, but it's not a happy sound. You mean like young Godwin? Like Alfric? Like all the other people you've butchered? I've improved them, Wolfgar says. Made them stronger. Made them ready for the new world. You've made them into things, Godiva says. Things that aren't human anymore. Exactly. Wolfgar's eyes are shining now. Don't you see? Humanity is over. Done. Finished. The darkness, the cold, the plague. It's all just the death rattle of a failed species. But we can be something new. Something better. Something that doesn't feel pain, Brunhild says. Something that doesn't feel love. Something that doesn't feel anything at all. Yes, Wolfgar says. Perfect. That's when I understand. He's not just insane. He's not just desperate. He's afraid, terrified, so scared of being human in a world that's turned against humanity that he's willing to stop being human at all. You're wrong, I say, about everything, about the darkness, about the cold, about what we need to become. Am I? He raises his hammer again. Then prove it. Show me the power of humanity. Show me hope. I look at the other widows, these broken, starving, desperate women, these survivors who've lost everything but still chose to come looking for a friend, these humans who could have become monsters but chose to remain human. I already have, I say. That's when it happens. The thing that changes everything. From the darkness below, we hear screaming. Not human screaming, something else. Something wrong. And then we see them. Wolfgar's improvements. His customers. His creations. They're climbing the hill toward us. Godwin with his metal teeth. Alfric with his ash-gray skin. Others I don't recognize, people who died and were brought back as something else. My children, Wolfgar says proudly. They've come to collect you, to bring you home, to make you family. But as they get closer, I see something in their black eyes. Not emptiness, not peace, pain, terrible, endless pain. Help us, Godwin whispers as he approaches. Please, it hurts. It hurts so much. Make it stop, Alfric begs. Please, we can't die. We can't live. We can't feel anything but pain. That's impossible, Wolfgar says, but his voice is shaking. I made you perfect. I made you better. You made us into hell, Godwin says, trapped in bodies that don't work, minds that can't rest, hearts that can't stop beating but can't feel anything but agony. No, Wolfgar says. No, you're lying. You're trying to trick me. You're perfect. You're evolved. We're damned, Alfric says. And so are you. They reach for him with their two long fingers, their metal teeth gleaming in the moonlight. And Wolfgar runs. The man who wanted to turn us all into monsters runs screaming into the darkness, chased by the monsters he created. Help us, Godwin says, turning to me. Please, we can't die, but we can't live. We're trapped. I look at these poor souls, these victims of one man's terror and desperation, and I make a decision. I don't know how to help you, I say, but I promise you this. I'll remember you. I'll remember who you were before. I'll remember your names, your faces, your humanity. And I'll make sure others remember too. Thank you, Godwin whispers. Thank you for seeing us. They drift away into the darkness, carrying their pain and their memories, still searching for peace they'll never find. The five of us, the surviving widows, sit among the Roman ruins as the longest night of our lives finally begins to end. Not because the sun is rising, it won't truly rise again for months, but because we've survived something that tried to kill our souls. What do we do now? Brunhild asks. The village is gone. The food is gone. The world is ending. We do what humans do, I say. We survive. Together. How? Godiva asks. How do we survive when everything is trying to kill us? The same way humans have always survived, I say. We tell stories. We share food. We take care of each other. We remember what it means to be human. That's not enough, Brunhild says. Stories don't fill empty bellies. Memories don't warm cold bodies. Don't they? Ask. What got you through tonight? What made you come looking for me instead of joining the mob? What made you choose to help instead of hurt? She thinks about it. I remembered who you were. Before the darkness. Before the hunger. I remembered your kindness. Exactly, I say. That's what makes us human. Not our strength or our intelligence or our ability to survive. Our ability to remember, to care, to choose love over fear. Even when the world is ending? Godiva asks. Especially when the world is ending, I say. So what's our plan? Brunhild asks. How do we actually survive the next day, the next week, the next month? I think about it, about the miller's hoarded grain, about the monastery's hidden stores, about the blacksmith's empty shop, about the mob that wanted to tear me apart for smelling like bread. We go back, I say. We face them. We tell them the truth. The truth. Godiva laughs bitterly. The truth is that we're all going to die, that the sun isn't coming back, that the world is ending. No, I say. The truth is that we're human, and humans don't give up. We don't become monsters. We don't let fear make us forget who we are. And if they try to kill us, then we die as humans, I say, instead of living as monsters. That's not very practical, Brunhild says. Maybe not, I admit, but it's right. And sometimes, when the world is ending, being right is more important than being practical. We sit in silence for a moment, watching the ash fall like snow in the gray pre-dawn light. There's something else, I say, something I learned tonight, about the darkness, about what's really happening. What? It's not permanent, I say. The cold, the darkness, the ash. It's all from the volcanic eruption, and volcanic winters don't last forever. The ash will settle, the temperatures will rise, the sun will shine again. How do you know? Because it's happened before, I say. The Romans wrote about it. Other civilizations lived through it. Humans have survived volcanic winters before. We can survive this one too. How long? Godiva asks. I don't know, I admit. Months, maybe years. But not forever. Never forever. And until then? Until then, we do what humans do. We survive. We help each other. We remember who we are. And we prepare for the day when the sun comes back. The walk back to the village is the longest walk of my life. Not because of the distance, it's only a mile downhill, but because every step takes us closer to the people who wanted to kill me, the community that turned into a mob, the neighbors who became enemies. Are you sure about this? Godiva asks as we approach the village outskirts. They were ready to tear you apart. I'm sure, I say, but I'm not. I'm terrified. My hands are shaking. My stomach is churning. And every instinct I have is screaming at me to run. But I keep walking. Because running didn't work. Hiding didn't work. Trying to become something inhuman definitely didn't work. The only thing left is to face the truth. All of it. The village looks different in the gray morning light. Smaller. Sadder. Like a place where hope went to die. The houses are dark. The streets are empty. And the only sounds are the wind and the distant crying of someone who's lost everything. Where is everyone? Brunhild whispers. Probably dead, I say. Or dying. Or wishing they were dead. Cheerful, Godiva mutters. Honest, I correct her. We walk through the empty streets, past the abandoned houses, past the frozen corpses no one has the strength to bury, past the church where the priest hanged himself, past the bakery where the shelves have been empty for months. And then we reach the village center, the square where the mob gathered, where they wanted to tear me apart for knowing where the food was hidden. It's not empty. They're all there. The survivors. Maybe 20 people now instead of 30. They're sitting in a circle around a small fire, sharing what looks like soup made from boiled leather and melted snow. When they see us, they stop talking, stop eating, Stop breathing. Meredith, Aldrich says. He's still holding his dead daughter, rocking her like she's sleeping. You came back. I came back, I say. We thought you were dead, Godiva's oldest son says. We heard screaming from the ruins. We thought the blacksmith got you. He tried, I say, but we stopped him. We. Aldrich looks at the other widows. You were working together? Against us? We were working together for us, I say. For all of us. For humanity. Humanity. Someone laughs bitterly. What humanity? Look around you. Look at what we've become. Animals. Monsters. Cannibals. Survivors. I say. We're survivors. And survivors help each other. Help each other? Aldrich's voice is getting louder. You helped the miller hoard grain while our children starved. You helped the monastery hide food while we ate leather. You helped everyone accept us. You're right, I say. I did. And I'm sorry. I was scared. I was desperate. I was trying to survive. But I was wrong. Sorry doesn't bring back the dead, someone says. No, I agree. It doesn't. But maybe it can help save the living. I know where the food is, I say. All of it. The miller's grain stores. The monastery's hidden barley. The merchant's hoarded vegetables. I know where it is, and I know how to get it. The crowd stirs. Hope and suspicion warring in their eyes. Why should we trust you? Aldrich asks. You've been lying to us, working with them, betraying us. Because I'm done lying, I say. I'm done hiding. I'm done pretending. And I'm done being afraid. What do you want in return? Someone asks. More bread? More silver? More special treatment. I want to share it, I say. All of it. Equally. No hoarding. No favorites. No one eats while others starve. And how do we know you won't just take it for yourself? Godiva's son asks. How do we know this isn't another trick? Because I'm not asking you to trust me, I say. I'm asking you to trust each other, to work together, to be human. We tried being human, Brunhild says. It didn't work. We tried being desperate. I correct her. We tried being afraid. We tried being selfish. We never tried being human. Here's what we're going to do, I say. First, we're going to the miller's house. Together, all of us, and we're going to ask him to share his grain. Not demand, not threaten. Ask. And if he says no, Aldrich asks, then we explain why it's in his best interest to say yes. I say, we tell him that hoarding food while his neighbors starve isn't just cruel. It's stupid. Because when we all die, who's going to protect him from the bandits? Who's going to work his fields when spring comes? Who's going to buy his grain when the world starts again? You think the world is going to start again? Someone asks. I know it is, I say. The darkness isn't permanent. The cold isn't forever. The sun will come back. And when it does, we need to be ready. We need to be alive. We need to be human. And if he still says no, Godiva asks, then we take the food anyway. I say, but we take it as a community. We share it as a community. And we remember that we're not thieves. We're survivors helping each other survive. That's still stealing, someone says. Is it? Ask. When a man hoards grain while children starve, who's the real thief? The man who takes food from empty bellies, or the community that takes it back? The miller's house is warm and well lit. Smoke rises from his chimney. Light glows in his windows. It looks like a piece of the old world, preserved in amber while everything else decays. We knock on his door. All of us, 20 starving people standing in the snow, asking for help. Osric opens the door, takes one look at us, and tries to close it again. But Aldrich puts his foot in the doorway. We need to talk, I say. I told you, Osric says. I don't have anything. I can't help you. That's strange, I say, because your house is warm. Your children are healthy, and I can smell bread baking. I have a little, for my family, but not enough to share. Osric, I say gently, look at us, really look at us. We're dying. Our children are dying. And you have grain. Enough grain to keep us alive until spring. I can't, he says. If I share it, there won't be enough for my family. My children will starve. And if you don't share it, Aldrich says, our children will starve. What makes your children more important than ours? They're mine, Osric says. I have a responsibility to them, not to you. You have a responsibility to your community, I say, to your neighbors, to your fellow humans. My fellow humans wanted to kill me last week for having food, he says. They threw stones at my house. They threatened my children. Why should I help them? Because, I say, that's what humans do. We help each other, even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when we've been hurt. That's not being human, he says. That's being stupid. Maybe, I say, but it's also being alive. Really alive. Not just surviving, but living. And isn't that worth something? We stand there for a long moment. The miller, his family, and 20 starving neighbors. The wind blows ash and snow around us. The sky is gray and cold and empty. And then, from inside the house, we hear a voice. A child's voice. Papa, the miller's daughter says. Why are those people crying? The miller turns to look at his daughter. She's maybe 8 years old, well-fed and warm and safe. She's looking at us through the window with wide, curious eyes. They're hungry, sweetheart, he says. Then why don't you give them food? She asks. You always give me food when I'm hungry. It's complicated, he says. No, it's not, she says. They're hungry. You have food. You give them food. That's what you taught me. The miller looks at his daughter, then at us, then at his hands. I'm scared, he says quietly. I'm scared that if I share, there won't be enough. I'm scared that my children will starve. I'm scared that I'll watch them die. We're all scared, I say, but we're more scared of being alone, more scared of losing our humanity, more scared of becoming monsters. I don't want to be a monster, he says. Then don't be, I say. Be human. Be a neighbor. Be a friend. He looks at us for a long moment. Then he steps aside. Come in, he says. Let's figure this out together. The miller's house becomes a planning center. We inventory the food, his grain, plus what we can gather from the monastery and the other hidden stores. We calculate how much each person needs to survive until spring. We figure out how to ration it, how to share it, how to make it last. It's not enough. Even shared equally, it's not enough. We'll all be hungry. We'll all be weak. Some of us will probably die anyway. But we'll die human. We'll die helping each other. We'll die knowing that we chose love over fear, community over selfishness, hope over despair. There's something else, I say as we finish our calculations. Something I learned tonight about the blacksmith, about what he was trying to do. I tell them about Wolfgar's offer, about the mask, about the promise to become something beyond human, beyond pain, beyond fear. He was right about one thing, I say. The world is ending. The old world, anyway. The world where we could take survival for granted. The world where we could afford to be selfish. So what kind of world comes next? Godiva asks. That's up to us, I say. We can build a world based on fear, where the strong prey on the weak and everyone fights for scraps. Or we can build a world based on love, where we take care of each other and face the darkness together. Love doesn't fill empty bellies, someone says. No, I agree. But it gives us a reason to fill them. It gives us a reason to survive. It gives us a reason to be human. Over the next hours, something amazing happens. The mob becomes a community. The desperate become the determined. The dying become the living. We organize work crews to distribute the food. We set up a system for sharing resources. We create rules for resolving conflicts. We establish a council to make decisions. We become human again. It's not perfect. People argue. Some try to cheat. Some hoard food. Some give up hope. But most of us try. Most of us help. Most of us remember what it means to be human. Do you really think we'll survive? Brunhild asks me as we watch the sun try to break through the volcanic ash. I think we'll try, I say. And trying is what makes us human. And if we don't, if we all die anyway, then we die knowing we chose to be human until the end, I say. And that's worth something. As the long night finally ends, not with sunrise, but with the faint gray light that passes for dawn in our darkened world, I make a promise. To the dead, I will remember you. I will tell your stories. I will make sure the world knows what you sacrificed, what you suffered, what you gave up to stay human. To the living, I will protect you. I will help you. I will stand with you against the darkness, against the cold, against the despair that tries to steal our humanity. To the future, I will prepare for you. I will plant seeds for crops that won't grow for years. I will preserve knowledge that won't be needed for decades. I will keep the light of humanity burning so that when the sun returns, you'll remember what it means to be human. To myself, I will forgive you for your mistakes, your cowardice, your selfishness. I will remember that being human means being flawed, and that being flawed means having the chance to be better. And to you, the listeners in the future, I will tell you the truth. About the darkness, about the cold, about the hunger, but also about the light, about the warmth, about the love that survived when nothing else could. So there you have it. February 17th, 536 AD. The day the world ended and began again. The day I learned that being human isn't about being perfect, or strong, or fearless. It's about choosing to care when caring hurts. It's about choosing to hope when hope seems stupid. It's about choosing to love when love seems impossible. It's about choosing to be human when being human is the hardest thing in the world. The sun will come back. The crops will grow again. The world will heal. But the most important thing, the thing that will make it all worthwhile, is that we'll still be human when it does. We'll still be us. And that, my friends from the future, is the greatest victory of all. So remember us. Remember our story. Remember our choices. And when your own darkness comes, and it will come because it always does, remember that humans have faced the end of the world before. And we chose to stay human. Choose to stay human. It's the only thing that matters. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. What would you do if you faced the end of the world? How would you choose to remain human when being human becomes the hardest thing of all?